What's up, friends? Welcome back to The Nerdy Filmmaker. Today we're going to be talking about how to shot list a dialogue scene where your actors are side by side. So for the sake of this video, I'm going to be going over the shots that I put together for a dialogue scene within my short film, The Forest. Now, of course, there's tons of different ways you can shot list the scene. This was a very simple scene that we put together, and I wanted to keep it simple because not only is it a very long scene, it's also a really intimate and powerful scene and a whole bunch of dialogue. And so I didn't want to distract it with doing anything kind of crazy with the camera movements. So it's very simple and is a really good place to start if you are getting ready to shot list one of these kinds of scenes. So to set the scene, here we have one actor who's approaching another one on a log. They're gonna sit down next to each other. If you haven't checked out this movie, please do. I'm gonna leave the link in the description. So within this portion of the scene, there's not a lot of movement, all right? They're sitting down next to each other on a log and having a nice long conversation. In order to get all the coverage I needed, I really focused on just getting a lot of shot reverse shots from a few different angles. One would be the two profiles, and both of those profiles are what's called dirty profiles, meaning you have the other person visible in the foreground. Then we had a clean of each of the actors. We also used this to follow a little bit of the hand movement at one point when they pass each other a granola bar. The third is the over-the-shoulder shots. Now that actually only kind of came in at the second half of the scene, and I'll explain why in a moment. And the fourth one is the master shot. You should always have a master shot when you're working on a scene like this, or any scene really, because it's the safety to always cut back to. We really jumped between very wide shots and then very close shots. There's not a lot of middle shots in, medium shots in this film, and that's just because we want to accentuate the idea of very close intimacy, and then moments where we kind of back up and appreciate the entirety of the scene, kind of playing on the emotion of it as well, where like if there's moments where they are not having as intimate of a moment and they're just kind of taking a pause and enjoying the space, we as the viewer are kind of doing that along with them. Now, why did we sit them side by side to begin with, other than the fact that there was just a dope log lying in the middle of the forest? Within the context of this film, Gabriel, played by Chimwemwe Miller, finds Fred, played by Frank Mars, who's also the co-writer for the project, finds him alone in the middle of the forest, pretty much contemplating ending his life. And upon finding him, takes it on himself to try to communicate and see if he can help him just by being there for him as another human being. That being said, there's no real connection established yet. Gabriel is really trying to connect with him, but is taking his time and not forcing it on him to start. And so that side by side, the fact that they're looking the same way and not directly engaging with each other, means that all the times that Gabriel actually turns to him are intentional, accentuated, and that's why the profile shots are so great. For the majority of the scene, we actually do use the profile shots, and it means that every time we see Gabriel turn to Fred, we can really feel it from Fred's point of view, that turn to engage. So we also did get those clean shots for the entirety of the scene. Those are really helpful. You should always try to get some clean angles if possible. It's really cool to see the other person in the foreground, but the nice thing about using clean shots is that it helps with continuity. If you want to jump forward in a scene, or you want to so if you want to cut out some dialogue or whatever, or maybe take a reaction from later in the scene and put it to something earlier because I think that fits, that's a lot harder to do if it's not a clean shot, because you start to see hints of what moment within the scene you are. We also use the clean shot to follow the action of a granola bar being passed from Gabriel to Fred. It worked best within that angle. It's the one that's further out, and it's the most front-facing of that we have in the scene, other than the master shot. Now, finally, we got those over-the-shoulder shots. I only put those near the end of the scene, and that's really kind of in the climax of the scene when Gabriel is really starting to press Fred on how he's feeling, what he's feeling, why is he here, and getting it from his own words as opposed to assuming it. Now, that's a really personal moment, and by having our backs to the camera, it kind of puts up a little bit of a wall, and then when we eventually do flip back to the other side, we feel more open again. And then finally, again, you have that master shot that's available throughout the entirety of the scene. So there's a lot of emotions that can be inferred into the project depending on what angle you're using. Now, as I said, there's not a lot of movement within this scene. So other shots you might need are, let's say, inserts of if they're manipulating certain objects. So if we really wanted to get an insert of that granola being passed, we could have gotten a shot that was much tighter in. I didn't really find that necessary in this because I don't really care so much about a granola bar so much as what it means. I don't really need to see it as a piece of detail. But if you do, if there's something important about a specific item, or you just want something to cut away to so that you can jump forward in the scene without kind of it being clearly a break in continuity, those inserts would really be able to help. So all those shots can be used throughout the entirety of the scene, and as soon as Gabriel stands up at the end of that dialogue, which we get as a kind of like, not really over the shoulder shot, but kind of like over the side. We use that angle as a way to transition into the next kind of like position, moment when Fred stands up as well to join him in a hug. And at that point, all the shots that we'd use in the previous moment can't be used. We need to reframe all that. So as soon as movement happens in any kind of meaningful way that changes the positioning of your actors, that's when it's time to create a new set of shots for that moment. So that's it, friends. I hope that was kind of a little helpful, little breakdown of this scene. Again, if you would like to check out the scene, please watch The Forest. The link is in the description. And let me know if there's any other kind of shot listing or shot videos you would like me to make. Could be fun. Leave it in the comments. Thanks so much, friends. I hope you have a fabulous rest of the day. And I'll see you later. I hit myself.